Hi, folks. We're back.
Hi, everybody. That's me, Jimmy, by the way. Larry, I just want to remind our viewers to always hit like, share, subscribe, and always ring the bell.
Ring that bell.
And tell a friend. Back to you, Larry.
Okay. I have books and books and books of stories here. I don't, and I can't pre-do anything because I can't read it, and every time I try. So I just got to get like a title. I have like 15 on this page and another 15 on this page and another 500 up down there. So from now on, rather than try to go in order year by year or month by month or week by week or day by day, I can't do it. I forget. And it's a bookkeeping nightmare to try to write everything down. I can't do that. I'm too involved with other things. So now I got to pick one of these things out to talk about. And I think what I'm going to talk about now is the time in 1981. It was about the same time. It was probably a year after that incident that I mentioned with Ralph Giganni winning his first pari-mutuel start. I think the horse paid over $100 when he won. He was so excited.
Wow.
he couldn't have been happier. But anyway, it was around that or maybe the following year, because we used to go to Pompano every year because I had that barn down there that I bought. And we used to go out after the races every night to listen to music. And there was a band that was an unbelievable show band. The name of the band was Kenny Martell Concept. And they were terrific. They were about 17, 18 pieces, and just unbelievable show band. It was so entertaining, probably the best band I ever saw. So I made a deal with them. I said, listen, whatever you're getting paid here, I'll double your salary. I want to take you back home to New Jersey, New York area where I'm from, because I just want to see you every single night. And back then I had the money to pay. The money was never a problem in them years. So I made them an offer that they couldn't refuse. I doubled all their salaries, paid all the expenses and everything else. And I made a deal with Arthur DeLugoff. Is that the guy that owned the Village Gate? Arthur DeLugoff. I think that was his name, Arthur DeLugoff. He owned the Village Gate. And I made a deal with him. I gave him a $20,000 deposit to go in and bring my group in there right after Sid Ceasar.
It was a good showcase.
And so I shipped them all in. I got them all rooms in Manhattan and everything. And just hired rehearsal halls, and they were rehearsing and this and that. And then it come time when Sid Ceasar was supposed to, his last day, and I went in there to start making arrangements. And he told me that in Sid Caesar's contract that he had a clause that if he wanted to stay over, he could for another week or 2 weeks. Oh. So there was nothing I can do about it. But then right after that, this other piano player, Dr. John, I think his name was, he was supposed to come in. And so I just basically got shut out, and I asked for my $20,000 back, and all of a sudden he was never available. And I asked somebody to go and collect it for me, and they says that they have to stay away from him, that they believe that he was a stool pigeon for something, whatever. I have no idea. All I know is that when they told me that, I just forgot about the $20,000.
Stool pigeon now, thief, yeah.
So now I have this 18-piece group sitting in hotel rooms all over in Manhattan, and I wanted to. The money part didn't bother me. What bothered me was that I couldn't hear them play. They were terrific. And by the way, wherever we played, there was a standing ovation. Almost every song. They were unbelievable. And that was the band I had at my Christmas party at the Concord when I took over the whole Concord Hotel. They were the band I had there for a three-day affair. So I get in touch with the people at SPQR. It's a restaurant on Mulberry St. And
Been there many times.
and upstairs they have a big showroom. Downstairs is the restaurant, upstairs the showroom. So I go upstairs, and we're all ready to go. So opening night, the place is packed. And who has the front table? Right there, table for 10, John Gotti and his whole crew. And Andre and Ceryll, they were a group from New Jersey, very, very funny group. They were the opening act for my band. And they were good friends. So I says to Bobby, I says, Bobby DeAndrea, which was half of the Andre and Ceryll, he was the comedian, and the other guy, Frankie, was the singer.
He was the singer, right?
Yeah, they were great. So I says, Bobby, I says, I know your whole act. I says, you do a couple of bits that you're not going to be able to do tonight because up front is John Gotti. And I don't know who he's with. There's a blonde on one side of him, a brunette on the other side of him. There's girls, these guys. I don't know who's with who. But I'm going to tell you something. Some of them bits that you do, you can't do. You can't do them to him. Yeah, no problem. Okay. So now it's showtime. Everybody's sitting there, and sure enough, they come out, they start doing their act. And Bobby DeAndrea, just like I told him, he did the opposite.
Does the opposite.
He goes right now. The stage is 4 feet high, so his feet are right where Gotti's head was and all the people. So he bends down to the blonde that's sitting opposite, and he says, "Somebody went to the beauty parlor, and they were closed." Well, the whole place roared, and Gotti looks at him, and he looks back, and there's a guy from the back comes walking up. Gotti whispers something in his ear, and the guy just stands behind me. So I waited a couple of minutes until the show, their part was over, and I went back there. And I said, listen, please, I'll straighten this out with him. And I told Bobby, get out of here. I told you now that you're going to cause a big problem. Anyway, I straightened that out. But that show band that I had was great. But the story goes a little deeper. It could have got pretty hairy, but. It was, that was Matty the Horse's place, and Matty the Horse was part of the Gigani crew, the Genovese crew, and they were two different crews, and I'm sure nothing really would have erupted. It would have been a total disrespect, I think the worst that probably would have happened was that Bobby got a smack in the face or something. I don't know, but. A
lot of guys on Mulberry Street had restaurants because Joe Butch had the Taormina, which was a few doors from SPQR. A lot of people don't know that, but Matty Iannello, which Matty the Horse, owned SPQR.
They were great places down there.
And they were good places to eat, and they had a hell of a wine list.
Yeah, all good foods. I frequented a lot of them places. Okay, should I tell you about Debbie Day? Maybe I'll tell you about Debbie Day and George Steinbrenner and Ole Cassini. Let me tell you about that story. Debbie Day, she was married to a harness guy, Bill Evil Ceasar, and she kept Debbie Day Evil Ceasar, and she was a harness driver, and she was really good. In fact, she was excellent. And in fact, she was probably one of the top 3 women harness drivers in the country, in my opinion. I got a call one day from Alan Finkelson, who was the public relation guy for Pompano Park. And he says to me, listen, George Steinbrenner had a bit of a problem with Croco, Mike Croco. he was training his horses. He was a trainer, and he wants to give you his horses. He think he has 10 or 12 horses with Croco. He wants you to train his horses. So I says, all right. I says, I'll be in touch with him tomorrow. That night I went to Croco's bar. Croco had a couple of nightclubs right on Federal Highway, all real good stuff. And I says, Mike, I says, Steinbrenner wants, he's taking these horses away. He wants to give them to me. Now, if you don't want to lose them, I'm not taking them. He says, he didn't take them away. I threw them out. I said, why'd you throw them out? He says, because he don't pay. Everything with him is a hassle, an argument. So I said, okay. I said, so I go back. And I tell Finkelson, I says, listen, don't set up the meeting because I'm not going to take his horses. I don't need the aggravation.
Yeah, then you got to chase the money. No.
Yeah, this was let's see, what year was this? I think it was 1981. It was all about the same time. I was doing very well. I had a lot of horses. I had the barn. I was doing well. I didn't need no aggravation. I had good owners, and I was doing my thing. And so I says, but I'll talk with him and I'll suggest somebody. So I met with him, and I says, listen, I says, I think I can't take the horses. The excuse I gave was that I'm overloaded with horses. I don't have enough room at the farm that I have at my barn. I don't have enough stalls at Pompano. Right? And I'd love to take him, but I highly recommend somebody. And I knew he was going to do this because how can I put this? He really liked Debbie Evil Ceasar. Debbie was a beauty. Debbie was gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And a good trainer. She'd been around a long time because of her husband. And she was just beautiful. And everybody was after Debbie. And Debbie knew everybody, and she knew Finkelson very well. She used to hang out in his office, and who would always come in? Steinbrenner. So when I mentioned Steinbrenner to Debbie to Steinbrenner, he said, okay. And Debbie wound up taking over his horses. And at the time, she was training for Ole Cassini, too. And she had quite a stable, and she was doing very, very well. And then Finkelson gets a hold of me again, and he says, there's this guy down in the dining room. He wants to meet with you. He's interested in getting in the horse business. And the reason I'm saying this, Finkelson always called me because Finkelson was the publicity guy at Monticello for years since they opened in the late 50s. And he loved, in fact, I was the only horseman invited to his daughter's wedding. We were very, very close. And so he always steered everybody to me, even though in them years I didn't need it. But he brings me over to the table, this guy, and this guy is diamond rings, big 4 or 5 carat ring, just over too much.
Too gaudy.
Yeah, just too much. And one of them yellow jackets with just
loud,
too much. Yeah, just too much. And he's sitting there telling, I want to get involved in this. And I says, you know what I really want? I want to be like you. Someday I want to have everything that you have on. That's what I want to be. I'm really sorry, but you're very flattering, but I have no room for the horses.
Right,
but
right.
I'll give you somebody that, and I was going to give him to Debbie. So I do that. I introduce, and naturally everybody's looking at the end of Debbie's pants. Everybody, including this guy. And they all put on the bullshit show dozens of roses sent to the barn and all the bullshit. And one day, we're having dinner. So Debbie says, you got to have dinner with me because this guy's getting too funky. I really don't want to be alone with him at the track. You know, so after the races, you could say that me and you have to go someplace. And so I go have dinner with them and at the track. And all of a sudden, maybe halfway through the whole thing, security comes up. And they says, can we speak to you? To Debbie. And they all knew Debbie and me. What happened was this guy parked his car in valet. And they found, valet guy found a bomb underneath the car.
Oh, God.
And they start looking up through the license plates, whatever. Anyway, they found out that this guy was like a mass murder, whatever he was. I don't know. All I know is that they took him away in handcuffs, and that was that. And Debbie, Debbie says, Larry, you don't have to do any more favors. Don't do me any more favors. But Debbie
Sure.
was a good girl. I'm going to have Debbie on the show one day. She calls me all the time. She wants to come on the show. She's a great, great girl. And she was the only one from Pompano Park that drove all the way to Orlando when I had the...
She'll make a good guest.
When I had the show, she drove all the way down there and stayed a couple of days. She was she's a good kid and a good friend. And maybe now that I brought that up, I could talk about the show that I had in Kissimmee. So that's what I'll do. So for now, that's it. That's it, Jimmy. I'm done.
Well, it's called a wrap.
It's a wrap. All right. Tell them about the bell.
Everybody, as you know, all you viewers, you like what you see, hit like, share, subscribe, and also ring the bell and tell a friend. Until next time with Larry and I, good to see you and good night.
See ya.